Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Deep Dive. I'm Julio,
And I'm Maria.
and we're your AI hosts,
That's right.
powered by the incredible technology of Google's Notebook LM.
That's right.
And today we're going to be diving into FC Barcelona's victory over UD Las Palmas, a
Yeah.
2-0 final score.
Exactly.
You know, at first glance, it might not seem like the most exciting match,
Right.
but trust me,
Oh, yeah.
there's a lot more to unpack here
A lot going on.
than meets the eye.
Absolutely.
So we've got match highlights, we have some articles,
Yep.
we even have the team lineups.
We do.
And what's really fascinating to me is that Las Palmas, who, on paper, are a team that's fighting to avoid relegation,
Yeah.
really gave Barcelona a run for their money,
They did.
especially in that first half.
Especially that first half.
The first half was a total nail-biter.
Oh, yeah. It was really exciting.
Looking at the league standings,
Right.
you'd kind of expect Barcelona to just walk all over them.
Exactly. You would think so.
But Las Palmas' defense was like a brick wall.
Yes. Very well organized.
They were so well organized, and
Oh.
even the YouTube commentators pointed out that even though they were on the back foot for most of that half,
Uh-huh.
they created some more dangerous attacks than Barcelona.
Yeah, they were really dangerous on the counterattack. I was really impressed.
And, I was reading the FC Barcelona versus Las Palmas lineup article,
Yeah.
and it reminded me that Las Palmas actually beat Barcelona
Oh, wow.
earlier this season at Camp Nou,
At Camp Nou.
which is pretty incredible.
That is incredible. Yeah.
So, it's almost like Barcelona walked into a trap a little bit,
They did, it seems like it.
knowing that Las Palmas has their number a little bit.
Yeah, they've definitely had their number this season.
Yeah, and that they're tough to beat at home.
Especially at home.
So Barcelona really struggled to find their rhythm in that first half.
They did. They were not playing their usual beautiful game.
Their usual attacking flair seemed stifled.
Yeah. I mean, Las Palmas did a great job just shutting them down.
Yeah, and you could almost feel the tension building.
You could feel it through the screen even.
Yeah.
But then the second half,
Yes.
things got interesting.
That's where things got really interesting.
That's when the name really opened up.
Because Barcelona's coach Hansi Flick
Right.
made some key substitutions.
Yes.
And that really changed the momentum of the match.
Completely changed it.
And I think what's really interesting is the FC Barcelona vs Las Palmas lineup article actually predicted these substitutions.
They did. They mentioned that Flick was planning rotations for the match.
Right, especially with that Copa del Rey semifinal against Atletico Madrid coming up.
Exactly. He's got to keep his players fresh.
He's got to keep them fresh.
That big match. Yeah.
One substitution in particular, I think, really was a game changer.
Oh, absolutely.
Bringing on Dani Olmo.
Dani Olmo coming on.
And his goal.
I mean, what a goal.
It's a thing of beauty.
A thing of beauty.
The build-up play.
Ah, so
The
good.
footwork.
Beautiful footwork.
The shot hitting the crossbar and going in.
Oh, I know. And the way the YouTube commentators described it,
They did it justice.
they did it justice. It was a beautiful goal.
It really was. And you know what makes it even better?
What's that?
This was his first goal since November.
Wow, so he's been waiting for that.
Yeah, it was a real drought breaker.
Yeah, he needed that.
And then later on in the match, Ferran Torres,
Right.
another second-half substitute comes on.
Yeah.
And he seals the deal with a goal in stoppage time.
Yeah, and that was a pretty amazing goal, too.
It was. And can you believe both goals hit the crossbar on their way in?
I know. Talk about dramatic.
It's incredible. But, before we get too carried away with Barcelona's victory,
Right.
we do need to talk about a controversial moment
Yes.
that could have changed the game entirely.
It could have.
And then that's the potential handball by Eric Garcia.
Yes.
Las Palmas players were furious.
Oh, they were demanding a penalty.
They were demanding a penalty.
Very upset.
And, the referee initially seemed unsure,
Yeah, he didn't know what to call.
but he ultimately ruled it out after reviewing the play using VAR.
Right.
And apparently there was an offside call
Mm-hmm.
in the lead up to the handball,
Right.
which negated the penalty.
Which is the rule.
So,
It's the rule.
yeah, tough break for Las Palmas.
Tough break for Las Palmas because they were fighting so hard.
They were.
And a penalty at that stage
Absolutely.
could have really put the momentum back in their favor.
For sure.
But ultimately,
Yeah.
the final whistle blew.
Yep.
2-0 victory for Barcelona.
And a big victory for them,
A big victory for them.
especially in the context of the title race.
Absolutely. And, speaking of the title race,
Yes.
according to the Barcelona's LaLiga victory over Las Palmas 2025 article, this victory puts Barcelona 1 point ahead of Atletico Madrid
Okay.
and 3 points ahead of Real Madrid.
Wow, so it's getting close.
Yeah, it's getting tight at the top,
Really heating up.
but they can't afford to get too comfortable. Oh, no.
Because as the Las Palmas 0-2 FC Barcelona, still going strong, article points out,
Yeah.
they've got that Copa del Rey semifinal against Atletico Madrid coming up
That's right. A huge match.
in just a couple of days.
A huge match for them.
So this is a really high-stakes week for Barcelona.
Oh, for sure.
This win against Las Palmas was important,
Absolutely.
but it's just one piece of the puzzle.
It's a long season.
And they've got another massive challenge coming up very soon.
Right on the horizon.
So it'll be really interesting to see how they approach that next match.
Very interesting indeed.
So stay tuned,
Yes.
because we'll be back
We'll be back.
to dive even deeper into all of this.
Deeper into the tactics and the individual performances.
Yes, and the next part of our deep dive.
Can't wait.
So we'll see you then.
See you then. Welcome back to the deep dive. So before the break, we were really kind of dissecting that Barcelona win over Las Palmas.
Right.
And, taking a look at some of the individual performances, I think reveals some more layers to this story.
Okay, I'm all ears.
Yeah, so on the Barcelona side, I think we can't overlook the contribution of young Lamine Yamal.
Yeah.
He provided the assist for Olmo's goal,
Right.
and his vision on the pitch was really remarkable.
Yeah.
The YouTube commentators were comparing him to Pedri,
Oh, wow.
which is pretty high praise.
That is high praise.
Pedri is considered to be
Right.
one of the most promising young players in the world.
Yeah, those commentators were really gushing over his talent.
They are very impressed.
And speaking of Pedri,
Uh-huh.
the Las Palmas 0-2 FC Barcelona, still going strong, article pointed out that this match was a bit of a homecoming for him
Oh, that's right.
because he came up through Las Palmas's youth academy
Yeah.
before joining Barcelona.
Right. So you can imagine
Yeah.
the kind of mix of emotions he must have been feeling.
Yeah, absolutely.
Playing against his former club.
That's a special kind of pressure, I think.
Oh, absolutely.
You want to impress both your current team
Right.
and your former team.
Exactly.
And while we're talking about players with connections to both sides,
Uh-huh.
we can't forget about Las Palmas' goalkeeper, Jasper Cillessen.
Oh, good catch.
He spent a few seasons as Barcelona's backup keeper
Right.
before moving to Las Palmas for more playing time.
Exactly. So it was a reunion.
So this match was like a mini LaLiga family reunion.
Yeah, like a little family get-together.
Except with way more at stake.
But with much higher stakes.
Yeah, exactly. But getting back to some of those individual performances,
Yeah.
were there any other Barcelona players that
Hmm.
really impressed you?
Definitely. I think Jules Koundé had a really solid game in defense.
Okay.
And, he was actually benched in the previous match for being late,
I remember that.
which the FC Barcelona vs Las Palmas lineup article mentions.
Yeah.
It seems like he used that frustration to fuel his performance in this match.
Oh, yeah, he came back with a vengeance.
He did.
And, of course, we can't talk about Barcelona without mentioning Robert Lewandowski.
Right. He's the man.
The man.
He may not have scored in this match.
Right.
But his presence is always a threat.
Yeah.
Even when he's not finding the back of the net.
Right.
His movement and his link-up play creates so many opportunities for his teammates.
Right.
He's a master at disrupting defenses.
Yeah. Now, were there any Las Palmas players that stood out to you?
Oh, for sure. Sandro Ramirez was
Okay.
a constant thorn in Barcelona's side.
Really?
With his pace and his dribbling skills.
Hmm.
The YouTube commentators mentioned he had a couple of near misses that could have easily been goals.
It makes you wonder if a few things had gone differently for Las Palmas.
Uh-huh.
Could they have pulled off an upset?
Yeah. In football, the margins between victory and defeat can be so slim.
Yeah.
Like you said, a missed opportunity here, a lucky bounce there.
Right.
And the whole story changes.
And that unpredictability
Yeah,
is part of what makes it so exciting.
it really is.
Yeah. Speaking of exciting, I thought the tactical battle that unfolded in this match was fascinating.
It was very interesting tactically.
Las Palmas clearly came in with a game plan
Oh,
to
yeah.
stifle Barcelona's attack,
They had a plan and they executed it well.
and it worked in the first half.
Especially in the first half.
Barcelona looked frustrated.
They didn't know what to do.
They couldn't break through that defensive wall.
It was a masterclass in tactical discipline from Las Palmas.
It really was.
They were organized, they were compact, their communication was excellent.
Yeah.
They forced Barcelona to be patient.
And that patience eventually paid off for Barcelona,
It did.
especially with those second-half substitutions.
Right, once those subs came on,
Yeah.
the game changed.
And, it seems like Barcelona's flexibility, both in terms of their personnel and their tactics,
Uh-huh.
really was the difference maker.
Yeah, their depth really showed in this match.
Now, with that crucial Copa del Rey semifinal against Atletico Madrid coming up,
Yeah.
how do you think this win against Las Palmas
Mm.
will influence their approach to that match?
That's a great question. I think on the one hand, this win will definitely boost their confidence.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, the tight schedule
Right.
and the intensity of both competitions
Right.
is going to demand some really careful squad management from Coach Flick.
Yeah, it's a tough balancing act.
It is.
Trying to maintain momentum in
Yeah.
both La Liga and the Copa del Rey.
It's a challenge.
Yeah, the next few weeks are going to be a real test for Barcelona.
Oh, absolutely.
We're back for the final part of our deep dive, and, we've covered a lot of ground already.
We have.
The tactical chess match,
Yeah.
the individual performances.
Uh-huh.
And now I want to talk about something that I think is going to be really decisive as we head into the final stretch of the season,
Okay.
and that is squad depth.
Yes. Squad depth is so important.
Especially when you're juggling multiple competitions.
Absolutely.
Like Barcelona are.
Right.
They're in La Liga.
Uh-huh.
They're in the Copa del Rey.
Right.
And with such a tight schedule,
Yeah.
you really need to have a deep bench.
You need players who can come off the bench.
Yes.
And make a difference.
Quality players who can come off the bench and make a difference.
Absolutely.
So I want to kind of compare
Oh my-
Barcelona's squad depth to their main rivals.
Okay, sounds good.
Atletico Madrid.
Yeah.
And Real Madrid.
All right.
So starting with Barcelona,
Okay.
from what we saw in this match against Las Palmas, and from the articles we've read,
Yeah.
they seem to be in a pretty good position.
They do. They have a good mix of veterans
Right.
and young talent.
Like Lewandowski.
Lewandowski, of course.
And then, the young guys like Yamal and Pedri.
Yamal and Pedri are so exciting to watch.
They really are. And, I think their substitutions against Las Palmas really made a difference.
They did, bringing on Olmo and Torres.
Right.
Really injected some energy into that attack.
And they scored the goals.
They got the goals.
So they have players who can come off the bench and make an impact.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, how does that compare to Atletico Madrid?
Well, Atletico is always known for their defensive strength.
Right.
Under Ego Simeone.
Yeah.
They have a really solid core group of defenders.
Uh-huh.
But I think their attack might be a little bit less potent
Okay.
than Barcelona's.
They really rely on Griezmann and Felix for goals.
They do. If one of those guys gets injured or has a dip in form,
Right.
that could really hurt them.
Yeah. Now, what about Real Madrid?
Real Madrid, the Galacticos.
The Galacticos.
They always seem to have a star-studded squad.
It's like they have a whole other starting 11 on their bench.
Almost. They have incredible depth across the board.
Yeah.
They have world-class players in every position, from Courtois in goal to Benzema up front.
And they made some really smart signings lately, too.
They have bringing in young talents like Camavinga and Valverde.
But even with all that talent,
yeah.
they've had some struggles this season.
They've dropped points in some unexpected matches.
Yeah, so even Real Madrid isn't invincible.
No one is invincible in football.
No.
Injuries can happen to anyone.
Right.
And that can really disrupt even the most balanced squad.
Okay, so taking everything into account,
Yeah.
how do you see this squad depth factor playing out in the La Liga title race?
Well, I think it's going to be a really tight race.
Yeah.
Barcelona's depth combined with their current form, I think, makes them a strong contender.
Yeah.
But you can never count out Atletico's defensive solidity
Right.
and Real Madrid's star power.
It's going to be a nail-biting finish to the season.
It is. Every match from here on out is going to be crucial.
Yeah, and I think it's not just about the physical skill and the tactics.
Uh-huh.
It's also going to come down to the mental side of things.
The mental game is so important.
The pressure is immense.
It is.
And the teams that can handle that pressure the best
Yeah,
are going to have a real advantage.
for sure.
This has been a really fascinating deep dive, Maria.
It has, Julio. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, me too, and I'm sure our listeners have as well.
Yes, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for exploring this match with us.
It's been fun.
So before we sign off, I want to leave our listeners with one final thought.
Okay.
Considering everything we've discussed,
Uh-huh.
which team do you think has the best chance to win La Liga?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Barcelona,
Uh,
Atletico Madrid,
mm,
or Real Madrid?
I think it's anyone's game at this point.
It really is.
But that's the beauty of it, right?
The drama and
passion.
It all keeps us coming back for more.
It does.
Well said, Maria. And on that note, we've reached the end of our deep dive into Barcelona's victory over Las Palmas. I'm Julio.
And I'm Maria.
Thanks for joining us.
We'll be back soon with another deep dive into the world of sports.
Until then, keep exploring and keep the conversation going.